Vorahk295, it doesn't really surprise me that he, along with Mixfan and many others, have really come out in the past few years, whether it's at DeviantArt or other sites, and really spoken their minds about what's going on and how they feel about what's going on at Archie Comics, especially with the Sonic comic. And I don't blame them or anything. I really don't. I mean, they've got a right to speak their minds. And if they feel that basically, Archie Comics is not doing a good job with the Sonic franchise, then that's their opinion. One of the articles, one of the journals that Vorahk did was something on how far they fell. And basically talking about the fact that in the past, Sega used to give a damn, excuse my language, Lord, excuse my language, God, but used to give a damn about every character in the comic. It was, not just game characters, but every character. He gave an example that originally, back when Endgame was published, that Sally was originally meant to die. We all know that. I think any fan of this comic pretty much knows that originally Sally was supposed to bite the dust. Now, apparently when Archie Comics got the okay to continue the Sonic comic, according to Vorahk, Ken Penders still wanted to keep Sally dead because the original plan... Hold on a second, just moving the mic there first. The original plan at first was to basically, according to what I think even Penders said, was to have the Sally that would still be there, that would supposedly be revived, be an auto-animatronic. Something that we saw in the Princess Sally miniseries. And sort of got an idea of what those are in, I think, the Sonic and Sally episode from Saturday AM. And that was the first season episode. But anyway, like I said, it was more along the lines of that. The story originally was supposed to have this auto-animatronic pretend to be Sally, for I don't know how long. And I guess according to Vorahk295, was supposed to also be destroyed in the end of that character's run. But during its run, gradually start to become more like Sally, to the point that now he didn't say this, but to the point that maybe the end of the robot would have been similar to how Sally would have sacrificed herself or something. I don't really know. Now, pretty much, I think we all know that plans didn't go the way Penders wanted, because Sega had basically, along with the fans, demanded Sally be revived. Now here's why Sega wanted her revived. It wasn't just because, like according to Vorahk295, and I'm not denying that what he said here is true or not. It wasn't just the fact that Sega wanted to sell Sonic toys and Sonic merchandise, and that Sally was part of that plan to do so. But it was also due to the fact that at this time, Sega had several indoor theme parks known as Sega Worlds. And one of the biggest ones was in Sydney, Australia. And a part of this Sega World was a live stage show, musical stage show at times, known as Sonic Live. It was known as Sonic Live, and the main characters in there were Sonic, Robotnik, Tails, and Sally. That's right, Sally was a main character. And she even had a song she got to sing towards the end called Thank You for Being You, which was her song to Sonic. And from what I have heard and seen, her merchandise out there was probably the most popular merchandise ever sold, or one of the most sold merchandise characters that they had, along with Sonic, of course. But anything from cups that had her face on them, there were cups that were kind of like because basically anything that had her on there, either was like overalls, overall jeans, little sippy cups or cups with straws, that anything that had a picture or a face or designed in her design, if you will, sold very well, including the plushies. And they had several sizes of plushies. I think I have like the medium-sized plushie because I bought that off eBay, and I'm happy to say I have one. And like I said, her merchandise sold so much at that time that it was equal, I think, in a sense, to what Sonic was selling over there as well. But that alone, her appearance, her character taking part in this alone was the reason, not just because of maybe a proposed merchandise plan that Sega was going to do, Sega of America mostly, but also the fact that Sega had her as a part of the Sonic Live show in Sydney, Australia. I mean, heck, you go outside the damn Sega world from what some photos have shown, and there was a statue of her and Sonic. So that kind of tells you how popular the character was. So yes, at that time, she was vital. She was important. That is why anytime the character anytime it seems that the character is going to get killed off or be put in a situation that may seem irreversible, they always find a way to reverse it. With the whole Mecha Sally deal, I didn't like the fact that she got roboticized and then later on weaponized. I didn't like it. Nobody did. Well, not a lot of us did. There was some that did, some that didn't. But the point is, not many did. And even though we're going to find out how she was going to originally be restored, there was always a plan to make her flesh and blood again, right? So, even though that plan fell through, she still got revived in the soft retcon, soft reboot, with a new look and everything, new design and everything, and she was kept around. And why? Because even though Sega, according to Vorahk295, may not give a darn, if you will, anymore about characters like her, or Antoine, or Bunny, or Rhoda, or Dulcie, a lot of people at Archie Comics, especially the writers, don't want to take the chance that Ken Penders did and say, okay, we're going to kill these characters off and that'll be it. They'll be gone. No, they don't want to take that chance, especially with these characters. Because these characters, like Sally, are firmly established in the Sonic lore. They are. No matter what you say, they are. And yeah, they may not give a darn anymore, according to people like Vorahk295, but it's basically because of the fact that right now, Sega themselves, from a business standpoint, are looking mainly at how successful the games have gotten lately. And they want to do more. They want to have more success. And, that's why they're doing Sonic Boom. That's why they're opening up this new section of the Sonic franchise. Because they want to see where they can go with that. And see how successful they can be there. I can guarantee you this. That even though Sega may not give a damn about them, whether you like Archie Comics or not, they still do. And until Archie Comics comes out and says, we're going to get rid of these characters, then you can throw the hate mail in their direction. If you know what I mean. Now, as far as the fact that another journal that he did before this was about lighter and softer. Basically what he was indicating here was the fact that a lot of things besides the Sonic comic, a lot of things recently, currently, and in the past have all had dark tones, but any other new incarnation has been lighted up. In other words, have been toned down, softened up. And Vorahk used a couple of examples like Transformers Prime, the DC Animated Universe, Clone Wars, SatAM, and mentioned several of the dark tones there. And yet now with some of the new incarnations, new shows coming based on these franchises, that even though you might still get several, not several, but some dark tones, you get more lighter and softer tones than you do dark. And it's like, why? I'm pretty sure that's what he's wondering. Well, here's the reason why. You see, it all has to do basically with the mass media coverage of a lot of the violence that kids and teens get themselves involved in. That is why you see things like Sonic Boom, maybe the new Transformers. I'm not sure about Rebels yet, Star Wars Rebels. That's why you see these kind of shows getting lighted, having more of a lighter, softer tone at times. DC Animated Universe, that's an exception due to the fact that they've already established long ago that anything that they do, especially in the animated original movie universe, is not for everybody. Most of the animated films have been PG-13. So it's not for everybody. They, like Marvel and several other comic publications, have put ratings on the comics stating it's not for everybody. But you see, it's not just that, folks. Again, it's about the fact that a lot of the family-friendly or supposedly family-friendly products and companies out there, whether the comic companies, studios, whatever, they are coming down on them to make sure they stay family-friendly and lighter in tone. And who is coming down on them? Quite simply, the same people that have come down on people for the past 20 years. The same people that a lot blame for the Saturday morning cartoon run finally ending its existence on network television 2 weeks ago. And that's the FCC and all these parental groups, soccer moms, soccer dads, that basically want more nonviolent, more educational programming and merchandise and reading placed in front of the kids and teens. Now, I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with that. I can agree that you got to find a way to tone the violence down so that your kids and your teens don't get easily influenced. I don't have a problem with that. I agree 100% that, you need to find a way. But you got to find basically a better way than targeting stuff people like. That is why, in a sense, Vorahk and anybody else listening, why things are getting softer and lighter. Because of stuff like that. Because of decisions like that are being made. Now, do a lot of us agree with it? No, we don't. But we have to realize that sometimes they're only doing what's best in their minds. And to help eliminate that problem. And they feel basically the only way they can eliminate that problem is to target stuff that all ages, agree upon and like to read or watch. And sometimes that deals with certain comic book companies and comic books. Sometimes it deals with certain animated or live action shows, certain animated or live action movies, a lot of that. Even video games. And again, we may not like it, but we may not like it, but we have to accept it because of the fact that they're doing what they feel is best to prevent any more violence from occurring. And that's a straight out fact. It's a straight out fact. Whether anybody wants to admit that or not, it's a straight out fact. So that is why, in a sense, Vorahk, a lot of stuff's becoming lighter and softer in tone. And the only other reason why it hasn't really been overtaken as much in that category is because a lot of some of the shows and stuff that you've mentioned have been mostly on cable television. And cable television, unlike network television, is not that easily conquered. Or not that easily influenced by things like the FCC and these parental groups and soccer moms and dads. They're not. The reason stuff like over-the-air networks is because everybody gets that. And it's the same with comic books and movies and stuff like that. So, that's just my take on your two journal entries, Vorahk295 and anybody else listening. You guys let me know what you think.